How do you achieve creative breakthroughs for your family team? What's up, guys? I'm Jeremy. I'm here in Colorado trying to figure this out myself, and I thought I would walk you guys through my 7-step process for what I do when I'm like, oh my gosh, here's a pattern in my family. I really want to understand like how to lead my family through this. So we've done this, and I don't know, like maybe 100+ times where we'll come up with a solution that's just outside the box. And the reason why I think it's so important that we get good at this is what is currently being done in families is not working. If you guys are here listening to this, I think you probably are aware that, man, families in our culture are broken, and part of what we're here to do is figure out how do we get back on track? How do we transform our families into multi-generational teams? That's my passion, and I'm trying to do this for my family, and if I could help your family, I'd love to do that. So the last 3 or 4 days I've been here in my work van just trying to carve out enough mental space to be able to think through a whole series of things where I just feel our family is a little stuck. And there's also a couple business things I'm trying to think through too that feel a little stuck. And so I'm working through this and wanted to share with you guys these 7 steps that have been so valuable for me. It's really important as well to just categorize this properly. Oftentimes if you were to leave and go off on a trip like this, it's likely that people, your kids, your wife, maybe your friends might just think, wow, that's cool. Good for you. This is sort of almost like a selfish indulgence that you get to get away like that. Now there is obviously possibility that that's the motive, but it's important to understand that, pastors, they get away for sabbaticals, or professors also, CEOs get away for all kinds of retreats and things so they can lead properly, but we don't really give permission for fathers to get away, to do the hard, deep work it takes to lead a family, to understand what kind of breakthroughs, to incite his creative problem-solving ability. And you, every dad listening to this, I don't know if you think of yourself as a creative problem solver. Certainly there are people that are wired very strongly that way, but we all have this innate ability, right? In Genesis 1, when God created the world and he made the first male and female, it says he gave us his image. And what is that image? His likeness. What did he just complete doing? He just completed the creation of the world. We are creative beings. That's a part of our essence. It's one of the most amazing things about what it means to share the image of God. And so I feel like we need to learn how to use this creative problem-solving ability to bless our families. And it is an ability that God's given each of us. So the 7 steps for me always starts with understanding or identifying the problem I really want to zero in on. And it's interesting, if you can just name the problem very narrowly, something happens inside of you. Some part of you goes to work, even when you're asleep. I've had dreams many times that were clearly symbolically an attempt at circling a problem that I was really thinking about. So it's really useful to just speak and to directly be able to identify or categorize properly the problem or the opportunity that your family has. Once you have that, I like to go for a drive and listen to some content around that problem, just to let me kind of think outside the box, to make sure I'm not getting stuck into a particular frame of thinking, to break the frame. And so I'll listen to podcasts, I'll listen to audiobooks. I do a ton of Kindle to Speechify, so I can just listen to bits. By the way, that's a huge advancement lately, that you could take basically any Kindle book and listen to it. It's not robotic, it's very fluid and fluent. You can also obviously have a conversation with ChatGPT or whatever. A lot of people are doing that these days. But this is definitely the best time ever in human history for instantly getting access to content that could be helpful, whether it's on YouTube or wherever. That oftentimes is maybe not directly addressing your problem, but could be adjacent. And that adjacent, listening to somebody talk about something that's very similar to your problem can kind of move your mind towards it. And this is really good if you're a very distracted kind of person. If you find yourself your mind wandering and you need some training wheels to kind of keep you focused on the problem, then making sure that you consume content while doing something like driving, you're kind of keeping part of your attention on the road and part of your attention on whatever you're listening to. I find that very helpful. And usually where I'm driving is to kind of point 3, which is to walk and then pray and think. right? So point one is identify the problem really clearly and narrowly, be able to state it really clearly and narrowly. Number two, it's really important to just kind of consume outside the box content, or just kind of get your brain thinking on this category. And the third thing is just go for a walk, pray, think. And usually I carry with me my little moleskin and a pen. I like to kind of go to places where there are nice little loops, little parks where there's loops. If I go for a long hike, then I might hit my breakthrough and then have to rush back and lose everything before I'm able to get back to my computer. But I like to just go on on these loops. And I found this beautiful park yesterday. I'm here in Colorado Springs. It's like a little lake, and I was able to pull right up to it, next to it, and just kind of go for these walks around this loop and just think and pray and just kind of meditate on the problem and ask the Lord for insight and just see where my mind goes as I process it. And then I have my moleskin, and the fourth thing is really just kind of sit and journal. So you can walk, think, pray. That's point number three. Point number four is like sit and journal, like bullets, kind of bullet points, stories. You're trying to gather and kind of circle the problem while you're circling the lake or whatever, the loop that you're walking in. So I find that really helpful. Just kind of embody the process of really trying to seek out a solution. And then the next step is oftentimes just crafting the plan. And so as I'm thinking and praying, as I'm journaling various elements of what I'm sort of sensing, oftentimes there will be this moment of breakthrough. And that's really what I'm seeking. I'm seeking a moment where an idea, like it's really a convergence of things. And this is really where the creative spark happens in any kind of problem solving process. You can just, you're like, whoa, I have a new idea, and just, and usually I want to get to my computer and start working on a Google Doc or Notion or whatever. Now, some people do this very collaboratively. I know I'm very introverted. Even having, these conversations, for me, it's so helpful to be alone, just the two of us, you're listening, I'm here. Not a huge crowd. Now, some people that can do this, I can't. I'm not going to do creative problem solving very well in groups. So I am thinking through the plan, and I'm beginning to craft it, in some kind of document. And then the sixth step is I want to share that plan with somebody in order to get feedback, right? Poke holes in the plan or refine it. And so oftentimes I'll talk to my wife, if it implicates the kids at all, talk to them. Just try to find some friends who might be like really good at providing feedback on creative problem solving solutions, or understand kind of the heart behind what I'm trying to do. I did that the other night with a group of guys, and I was just like blown away by their feedback. Super helpful. Thank God for good friends who are on the journey. We definitely need a community of people that are walking on a journey like this, where we're trying to transform our families. So that was really helpful to me. So I think, and my wife has gotten really good at providing feedback. And early in our marriage, she used to get so distracted by the details, the logistical details of my crazy ideas, any kind of breakthrough creative solution, that it would just overwhelm her, and it would overwhelm me, and then we wouldn't collaborate properly. And so she's learned to kind of like, okay, I'm not going to poke logistical holes in this, but she kind of needs to stay at the 30,000 foot level. Let's talk about it at that level first, right? We'll eventually get down to the 10,000 feet, 5,000 feet, figure out the logistics, but if this is actually realistic. But let's just kind of dream for a minute, So because we've made so many huge leaps in our lives as families, like everything about the way we do family, our decision about how to have kids, our decision about educating our kids, our decision about how to help them after they graduate from high school, all of these things that we've done in our living situation now, our multi-generational house, so many things that are outside the box, but require a process like this to be able to find a new path, right? A path that maybe is unfamiliar to people in our culture. And then the final step is to cast the vision to execute on the plan. My favorite. I mean, this can be really difficult, but this is when things get exciting, right? Where you begin to share this and make decisions. And this is where you do need partners, your wife and others in your family, to really get into the weeds, the details. How are we going to actually pull this off? So that's the process I go through. And I've been through that process maybe at least the first, 5 or 6 steps, maybe 10 times in the last 3 days here in Colorado, as I've been kind of trying to find these breakthroughs on so many different areas. And I really am enjoying this process. So let me just review real quick for you guys, make sure you understand the full scope of what we're talking about. Number one, you need to narrowly identify, right, the problem you're focused on, like describe that topic. Number two, you need to consume content, adjacent content or similar content around that to kind of help you get outside the box. Then you need to walk and think and pray, walk and think and pray. And then you begin to zero in on, journaling and sitting and journaling and trying to see these different components. Then the convergence happens, right? That fifth point where you start to develop the plan, and then the sixth point you get feedback and you begin to refine the idea, and the seventh is you go out there and you cast the vision and you execute it, and then you can start the cycle over again. Find a new problem, find a new opportunity. So you guys, it is so awesome being fathers, to be able to lead families into a really amazing future. But there are so many things coming against us as dads that we need to have a way to kind of get away, clear the air, and find new solutions. So hopefully this is helpful to you guys. If this is, please let me know. Let me know in the comments if you've got any other ideas you want to share with the community about how to find these creative problem solving processes. I love collecting these and understanding them. And but yeah, I'll keep making these videos if these are helpful to you guys. But I love getting to process. How are we gonna do this? How are we gonna lead our family? So cheers to you and your family, and thank you so much for putting this effort into leadership of your family.